Alright guys, BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, I'm back talking about the Hitman series. After my initial playthrough of the first two games in the World of Assassination trilogy, I did make a video running through my experience with those games. And here, we'll be doing a bit of a sequel video to that, where in this video, I'll be talking about my experience playing through the two Hitman 2 campaign DLCs that were included in the expansion pass, along with the final game in the trilogy, Hitman 3. And just like my last video, I'll be talking about my experience mission by mission. And let's just jump right into it. Let's go right into it with the first of the Hitman 2 DLCs, the Golden Handshake, which is a really interesting level. I mean, entirely taking place within a bank where we have these two objectives. First, to kill the bank director. The other objective is a bit of a change, with you having to steal the vault data core, which involves breaking into the vault, which in part turns this into a bit of a heist mission, which is a really cool concept for a mission here, especially with the target being on the top floor while the vault is at the bottom, really forcing you to fully explore the map here. Though something I did find annoying was how restrictive the starting floor was, or I mean what I thought it was, where I didn't realize that you can get through certain areas just by being frisked first. Like, I didn't realize that until after I'd already played the mission, so it did lead to me kind of struggling to figure out how to get started here. So I really just ended up lucking my way into getting a uniform by shooting a guard out in the open, and somehow no one saw me. And after this, I did spend a good amount of time just wandering around until I decided to try the expose mission story that involved giving a reporter some incriminating files so that them leaking this causes chaos to where the target leaves her office. And while I did finish this mission story, I didn't end up taking advantage of it, as I decided to take another approach, with me starting the job interview mission story, which is a pretty fun one where you have to knock out a job applicant who's puking in the bathroom and proceed to do this ridiculous interview that, I'll be honest, I didn't realize the solution to this was literally on the wall behind them, where they do ask you questions, and if you get everything right, you get full clearance to the entire building. But again, I got them wrong, so instead they only give you clearance to the bottom two floors, but even that did make navigation a lot easier at this point. It did allow me to get near the vault, though still unable to actually enter it. So to do so, I did have to go for the heist mission story, which involves stealing a higher up security guard's outfit, and the guard I was tasked to steal from was always in sight of another guard. So I just went with my trusty strategy of trial and error and was eventually able to kill both guards in the office. And while I was seen on the way out, I was still able to get through it, but this only got me to the vault door. But to open it, I still needed a key card, which was locked away in the security office that had 4 guards in it. And again, I did some trial and error here as well, and was surprised to see that I was able to kill all 4 of them with my silenced pistol without being detected, which was pretty great. Eventually got the key card, got to the vault, grabbed the data core, completed the first objective. But that's when I realized I've kind of messed up, where the data core is too big to carry around concealed, and if anyone sees you with it, you end up getting detected. But I still need to kill the main target of the level. So what I decided to do here was drop the data core somewhere near the bank exit so I could grab it on the way out, which was obviously not ideal, but considering the circumstance I was in, this was the best plan I could do here. As for the actual assassination, I did do another mission story, this one involving cutting the Wi-Fi and dressing up as an IT guy in order to get to the director's office, and this one went off mostly without a hitch. I mean, I did have to kill a guard or two after killing the IT guy, but it's fine. It definitely wasn't a situation where I got extremely lucky, which again, it was. But in all seriousness, I mean, getting to the office was pretty easy after that. Actually killing the target itself without being detected was a bit tougher. I did try to push her out the window, but there were 3 guards in the room and that didn't last long. So instead, I did have to kill the 2 groups separately after she walks out of the room with her bodyguard. And it was much easier to get through it that way. Killed the target, got back to the ground floor, grabbed the data core, and while I was detected on the way out, I was still close enough to be able to escape to the exit, and really all of this was just so much fun to me. I really did enjoy my time with this mission, which I do think was greatly booned by these mission stories, which I did find to be pretty strong despite some annoyances of how many costume changes were necessary to get to the end of the mission. But with that, let's move on to the second DLC mission, The Last Resort, which is another one of these missions revolving around killing 3 targets in a pretty large area. This being a tropical resort, with 2 of the targets being in the resort while the other is inside their mansion on the other side of the island. And to me, this was a fun mission, but one that ended up being extremely short, with each of the 3 targets being relatively easy to take down, and with the mission stories here being pretty limited as well. And because I found the mission to be overall kind of underwhelming. Now, coming into the level, I did love how the first target was right in front of you, with her walking along the boardwalk as I started the mission. And right away, I was trying to do a mission story, but whenever I got close to a villa, in my preset outfit, you get caught for trespassing. So I decided to jokingly kill a guard in the middle of plain sight with no intention of it actually working, but somehow it actually did. And immediately afterwards, I end up running into the doctor mission story relating to killing the target that was in the mansion, but I wanted to do that assassination last considering how far away it was, so I decided not to go for it right away. But that's when I ran into the target once again with another mission story, this one revolving around killing the owner of a villa that they were at so that she could sneak in afterwards. And this one was pretty simple. I mean, I followed the owner to the bathroom, knocked him out, put him in the trunk, and the target walked in not too long afterwards, so it was just pretty simple to kill her and her bodyguard and escape pretty cleanly there. Now up next was the other target that was within the resort, which led to me doing another mission story where we need to get the keys to his jet ski that will allow us to isolate him. So again, I did my trusty strat of pulling out my silenced pistol and killing the guy with the keys and taking his outfit along with that. And once you got to that point, I mean, this was pretty simple. I mean, gave the target his keys, he goes out to his jet ski, take him down there. I mean, it was pretty simple at that point. So really at this point, I was only left with the target in the mansion, and I do feel like this one was the tougher one of the bunch, and it did take me a few attempts to be able to get this. What did really annoy me here, though, is that the doctor mission story from earlier ended up pretty much becoming unavailable at this point, due to how much time had already passed and him already being in the mansion by the time I got to it. While we could technically steal his outfit still and still do the mission story, it was just annoying to do so because he was already in the mansion, which kind of ruins the point of stealing his outfit. So essentially I was at the point where I needed to get the outfit of one of the guards, and I tried to take out one of the guards that was surrounding the mansion and found it pretty difficult to do it cleanly. But that's when I realized I could take the outfit from a guard a bit further away, and in doing so, I was able to get to the premises a lot easier. And while I would have loved to do a mission story of some sort in order to finish out this mission, and actually I did try to kill the doctor numerous times in order to get his outfit, but I just wasn't able to get out of that cleanly. I just decided it really wasn't worth it, so I just killed the target and left, with the escape from that point on being pretty easy. Again, this is a pretty short mission, one that I did have some fun with, but I did find the overall scale of the mission to be kind of underwhelming, with most of the targets just being kind of easy to kill. And with that, let's jump into the main game we're going to be talking about here in Hitman 3, the final game in the World of Assassination trilogy, which right away you can tell the grander scale of this game, with them taking a lot more of a cinematic approach to the missions here, but really outside of the more expansive environments and more of the focus on narrative, the base gameplay is pretty much the same as the previous games. The first mission here, On Top of the World, is a major example of this grander scale, where the mission itself does start outside of the actual building, where you do have to do some parkour to find your way in. And once you do, the game really does make a spectacle of it, where you walk up the stairs, walking into the main room with the bright light glaring on you, and this overly dramatic music playing as you get the first look at the level you're going to be navigating around. Again, it is a scene that you can very clearly tell the developers wanted it to be this like big reveal to blow away the player. But as for the level itself, I mean, it does involve taking down 2 targets, and I will say I was kind of underwhelmed at how limited the mission stories were in this level, and really in general in Hitman 3, where it definitely feels like mission stories weren't as focused on, which I can see the pros and cons of that. Obviously it's a pro in the sense that it allows the players to create their own assassination scenarios. I'm someone that always got a kick out of at least trying out all of these mission stories and seeing which one works out for me. But right away, I did find an isolated guard and was able to get his outfit, which allowed me to get through the majority of the map. And after a lot of exploration of the back rooms, I did stumble into one of the mission stories, this one making us the bodyguard for one of the targets, and all I really had to do was just steal the orders from the real bodyguard with me already being in the necessary outfit. And through that, this led to the assassination being pretty simple here. I mean, I followed around the target for a bit to a balcony where he wants you to test your aim with kitchen knives, and after this demonstration, it's just easy to kill him and the other guard that's nearby him with the knives that he provided for us. So again, that one was pretty simple, but the other target was a bit more complicated, especially considering how many steps there were to the mission story that I ended up doing there. Where for this mission, I needed to dress up as the Vulture, an assassin that the target is planning to hire, and just getting his disguise was already a pain and did cause a lot of commotion. But even once you get that, it's followed by having to talk to an assistant that will allow you up to the floor with the target, but due to the commotion, her AI was a bit messed up to where she wouldn't interact with me properly, and that did lead to me getting detected sometimes on the way up, and that was just kind of annoying, but eventually I did get it and met with the target, though through meeting him, you see just how many guards he has surrounding him, meaning that it's, again, very difficult to kill him even in that situation. And instead, the mission story has you going and doing an assignment for him, where you have to kill a target that's downstairs for him, and that was pretty easy, but getting back up turned out to be a massive pain, where I still don't get why the game did this to me, where I don't understand if this was a glitch or not, but essentially to get back up, you need to be frisked. However, the game just wouldn't let me be frisked here, despite me holding no illegal weapons. And I even at one point dropped everything in my inventory to try to get back up, and they still wouldn't allow me to get frisked. So that was kind of annoying, and I ended up having to do a very strange roundabout way of getting up there in causing a commotion further away in order to distract the guard that was at the front and then run my way up while he wasn't there. But eventually through that, I was able to get to the target's penthouse, and I really wanted to do this kill stealthily, but I really just couldn't find out an easy way to do it. So again, went back to my trusty strat of just killing him and running away and just hoping that I'd be able to make it to the exit, which I really lucked my way into getting to the exit here. I mean, this was a position where I was literally about to die, but I was still able to get there, so that was a pretty thrilling finish. But overall, I just found this mission to be fine. Again, from a technical level, there are some impressive elements to it, but I did find the level as a whole pretty limiting. That did kind of annoy me. The next mission was Death in the Family, taking place on an old manor, but it's definitely a level that feels very unique, with it playing into these murder mystery cliches. Now, this level only has one target, but you do have to get a case file that is locked in the target's office, which seemed to limit the possibilities for this level. Now, you do start the level on the outside of the premises, meaning you need to sneak in and eventually get a disguise. And initially my plan was to kill one of the guards at the gate, but then I noticed that the detective related to a mission story was on his way to the manor, and while I did it very sloppily, I was able to kill him out in the open and get his disguise and proceed into the manor, which allows you to start the mission story, which you can clearly tell that this level was very much leaning into this murder mystery mission story, where they put so much attention to detail into this mission story, while I feel like the other mission stories are just kind of lackluster. Again, here you are essentially playing a murder mystery. You find out that the target's brother was murdered, and we need to walk around the mansion investigating and interrogating her family in order to find out the culprit. And this was fun, but felt very un-Hitman-like. It was just weird to be playing Hitman with no real worry that the guards were going to come after you, as having the detective disguise essentially allowed you to go anywhere. But it was also a fun bit of gameplay here, and once we have enough information to accuse someone, the butler takes us to her office, and you can easily negotiate with her to get you the case file, which I was able to do, but killing her at that point just felt kind of anticlimactic, where she just walks out to the balcony unguarded and you can just push her over, and that was underwhelming. Now, I have learned after the fact that there are ways for you to have culprit in the murder end up poisoning her, and that's interesting. I did actually end up replaying this level afterwards to do the other mission stories. One where you have to gather everyone for a family photo, and that's fine. Another one involves pushing her into a grave where she was supposed to be buried, and again, that's fun. But like overall, I did find the conclusion to this level kind of underwhelming. Again, the murder mystery element of it is really fun, but the actual assassination was just kind of meh to me. Now, on the escape, we do get them trying to progress the narrative here by having Diana get kidnapped and Lucas Gray having killed himself. But it's like, again, I never cared about the story of Hitman, which is a radical change for this game. And they do take the narrative a lot more seriously in this game. But for me, the third installment in the series is a bit too late for them to be wanting me to care about the story of this game. But this does lead us to the next mission, Apex Predator, where we go through the entire mission without a handler, meaning that the level doesn't directly tell you what to do. And really, this felt like a radically different level than any that had came before it. We get a really cinematic opening to the mission, with us having to pass a gas station in the middle of the night, trying to find Olivia Hall, our only remaining ally, but she ends up being tracked down, meaning that we now have to kill 5 agents in order to finish the mission. Though interestingly, again, the game doesn't tell you where they are. Though there are more than 5 in the open world, there are 10, meaning that you only need to kill half of the targets that are there. And again, to me, this is a really interesting gameplay mechanic, but one that is also really annoying to play for me. Again, I really just didn't get how to find these agents on my first playthrough, and because I just wasted so much time just wandering around, not really knowing what I was supposed to be doing, which ended up being an underwhelming element of this mission for me, despite the concept of it being very strong. I mean, the core of this level is this massive club, and the game does kind of hand you the first target, where through killing him, you do get an earpiece that has become your main way of knowing who is the undercover agent moving forward. But again, I end up wasting so much time here, going through multiple disguises, and really just having a difficult time finding these agents. I mean, on the main floor, I didn't end up finding an agent there and decided to kill him right in front of everyone by throwing a knife at him and was somehow able to escape. But this was followed by another like 30 minutes of me wandering around, still not knowing where any of these other guards would be. And really a frustrating element of this was that I was eventually able to find my way to the club owner's office, where through killing him and taking his disguise, it's mentioned that you can call the main CIA agent to his office. And I believe by doing so, also some of the other CIA agents follow him as well, making it very easy to track them down. Meaning, if I've been able to do this, it would have been a very easy way to conclude this mission. But I ended up getting very unlucky here, where it just so happens the only target that I had killed in the club was actually the leader, Agent Montgomery, which meant that this opportunity was already gone, which was very frustrating. But eventually I was able to find an agent on the roof who I easily took out. After another 10 minutes of struggling to find another target, I ironically found the last 2 in an area I had checked numerous times already. But really, I was just happy to conclude this mission. I really just did not find this fun. Again, I think conceptually this is a great idea for a mission here, putting you in the position where you have to find all the intel on your own, but it just was not fun for me to play, and I didn't end up enjoying my experience with this mission. But through it, we do end up meeting with Olivia, who acts as our handler coming into the next mission, End of an Era, which was a nice return to form for me, where again, while I do respect them trying to change things up in the last couple missions, I did love this return to a more standard Hitman level, giving us a really interesting sandbox of this part of town with neon lights on a rainy night that did really set up this cool atmosphere. There are 2 targets to kill here that are both heavily guarded, and while I didn't attempt them without mission stories, I suspect that it would have been brutally difficult to do them without those mission stories. First target I went for was one that I was at the top of a heavily guarded building where they are doing experiments on homeless people. So I did do a mission story where you have to disguise yourself as a homeless person. You do have to enter the building without any weapons, and really this disguise only gets you to the 2nd floor, where you are put in a room with 2 researchers and a security guard outside. And it was pretty easy to take them all down. And initially I tried to continue on with the guard outfit, but it turned out to be a lot easier to continue on with the researcher's outfit. And while I still needed to stealth my way through some sections with certain people being able to detect me on sight, I was able to find my way to the top floor, where the next test subject was in the bathroom, making it easy to take him out and take his spot. Now the problem now was killing the actual target, who was still very well guarded on this top floor. And this did take me a few attempts, And really, my success ended up springing from a failure where I messed it up initially, but through messing it up, all the guards ended up being busy, and it did leave the target on his own where I was easily able to take him out. Once again, switching to my researcher outfit, and that ended up leading to a very easy escape. Now, the other target was a lot more difficult to get to, being in an underground ICA data storage facility that had numerous checkpoints to it. That I feel like this section would be like brutally difficult to do without the mission story. But again, I did do it with the mission story that has you taking the place of someone that was going to tour the facility, needing to steal his documents, and then following the guide through a pretty lengthy tour through the facility where there are some hiccups along the way where you do need to get rid of your guns or hack into computers in order to not get detected. But eventually we do end up meeting with the target and end up following her as she shows us around as well, leaving us in her office while she ends up returning to the data core. And by using her computer inputs in a specific order, this actually makes for a really easy kill here, being able to turn off all the security measures at the core, which ends up killing everyone inside. But that doesn't lead to the end of the mission. I mean, you still have to also hack into the core itself in order to leak ICA's data and also delete evidence of 47's connection to them, to essentially shut them down. And this was a cool set piece to end the mission here, where we do have to return to the core, which I was able to do so more easily through going through some vents, but you do also have to get in there alone. And when I got in there, there was a guard and the guide checking up on the dead bodies. An easy solution here would have been to kill them both. And I did kill the guard, but I ended up missing my shot at the guide, which led to her running away. And initially, I thought I messed it up. But really, it ended up working out in my favor with her leaving the core, leaving me alone, which ends up sealing it off, and we end up completing the objective. But afterwards, you still have to escape, which was pretty intense, and all the guards end up detecting you at this point, so you really have to avoid them at all costs while traveling through vents and sneaking through the hallways to find your way back up. And I thought this was pretty fun. Again, it wasn't that difficult, but I did find this to be a satisfying conclusion to this section. And really just overall, I did love my initial playthrough of this section, though I do feel like it's one of these that is kind of limited in how you approach the level that might not make it as interesting on a replay. But with that, we're moving on to what is essentially the final normal level in the trilogy, with that being the Farewell, which is structured much like the more basic levels from the first game, of it just giving you this sandbox with 2 targets to kill. Now, the mission does start with you meeting up with Diana, and 47's interactions with her were really the only time I paid attention to the story here, but it does also provide us with a third objective of not killing her, which was very easy to do, but naturally I did try to kill her anyway, just to see what happened, and what do you know, the mission fails. But again, the mission itself does play out like your standard Hitman level, though the level design here is pretty interesting with a high level of elevation, making it feel like a mix of elements from like World of Tomorrow, with something like Citizen Versus or the Ark Society, and how the bottom portion of the map is structured, with it being a winery with a top floor containing an open party area, with the bottom floor being a restricted area, with that being the production plant. And like previous missions of this style, we do have one target openly walking around the party, while the other one is in their mansion down the road. However, the 2 mission stories that I ended up doing ended up bringing them both to the bottom floor, which made it a lot easier to kill them. The first target was someone that was going on a tour of the facility with Diana, so all you needed to do was to steal the outfit of another person going on the tour, which was easy to do as the guy was literally just standing over a balcony, so it was easy to kill him there. However, once you get to the bottom floor, you find out you actually need to take another outfit, this time the outfit of the chief winemaker, who is going to be the tour guide, which makes me question, why didn't the game just make me dress up as the winemaker? But whatever. I will say, like, I found it pretty tough actually to get the winemaker's disguise, with him being in the middle of a restricted area, with everyone instantly detecting you there. So it did take me a few tries to get it, but once you do lead the tour. And something I did find fun about this is how the game gives you options of how to kill the target here. I instantly tried to kill her in the freezer, but once you kill her, you do have to hide the body, which was difficult to do from that point. So instead, I took the easier approach of leading her to the grinder and just pushing her in, which was a fun way to conclude that assassination. Now, the other target only has one mission story attached to them, so I did decide to go for that, which leads to you stealing a factory worker's outfit and end up messing with the wine pump, causing the wine to leak everywhere, which calls the other target down to deal with the issue. Now, something I did find annoying about this mission is that after you get the outfit, the game ends up also just then telling you that you also need tools to sabotage the pump, but with you in this outfit already, other people in the area are able to detect you. That did lead to some annoyance, so I had to try again and get the tools first before stealing the disguise. Now, I will say that I kind of messed up the sabotage where I ended up getting detected as I was doing it. So as the tanks were exploding, I ran quickly to the winemaker's outfit to try to get back into incognito mode and was able to do so. And with that, the target ends up walking into the area, and I really debated over how I wanted to approach killing him. But I decided to go with the trusty strat of pulling out my son's pistol and shooting at him, and the idiot I am missed my first shot, leaving me getting detected here, but was eventually able to kill him and decided to run for it towards the exit, and somehow I made it, which I really didn't expect that to work, but I did end up making it through here. And really, I did like this level, but I do find it kind of underwhelming as the final real level in the series. I really would have expected a more grand design philosophy here, with this mostly feeling like a baseline level, which, I mean, to be fair, does kind of feel like back to basics in a way, which is also satisfying in its own right. But I also feel like it just kind of felt too basic to me. But again, still very solid level. Well, then let's move on to the final level in the entire series, with that being Untouchable. This really bizarre mission, and one that I'm still just overall conflicted on. I mean, in a sense, I do find it really underwhelming for a series to end on a radically different feeling level. One that is essentially just a straight line with you being on a train and you having to reach the front to take down your target. But I do also like how this level is structured, with you starting with no supplies, and the game hands you more supplies section after section, and through that it makes it feel like it's testing the skills that you've learned over the course of the series, which I found that to be kind of satisfying. Now, the section does start with a weird dream sequence where you see all of the targets 47 is killed, which clearly is meant to be this like big conclusion for 47's story, but again, I didn't really care. Again, this level is structured a bit more blatantly like a puzzle section, where each train car has you feeling like you're in a new puzzle and you have to solve how you get through it using the items that the game gives you. You also have a lot of parkour-based gameplay here, with you shimming around the sides of the trains and doing a lot of climbing along the way. Eventually, you do get some weapons. I did like the ability to craft like a silenced pistol here. You also eventually pick up like shotguns and assault rifles, and these sections really just turn into full-blown gunfights if you want them to, and it just felt weird to be doing that in a Hitman game. But also did feel like an interesting change of pace, but there's really not much to run through here. Again, it's mostly just progress from train car to train car until you find your target, the main antagonist of the game, who you take out using a serum that he was going to use on us. And following that, you have the conclusion to the story, which I didn't care about. Now, again, like, I do respect what they were trying to do here in trying to make this a grand conclusion to the narrative. The problem is that it's just a narrative I never cared about. And despite how much they try to make you care about it over the course of Hitman 3, I really just didn't. And really, I do feel like at the end of the day, the focus on narrative did harm my opinions of this game. But that does end up concluding my experience with Hitman 3, which weirdly felt like something different despite the base gameplay pretty much feeling the exact same as previous installments. And you can tell the heightened focus on narrative, giving the game more of a cinematic nature. You could tell that they were trying new things with missions like Death in the Family, Apex Predator, and Untouchable. You can tell the darker tone of the game as a whole. But I will say that while I did enjoy my experience with this game here, I did find part of it underwhelming at how these slight differences did end up with me not finding this experience as enjoyable as Hitman's 1 and 2. Again, not that this game is bad, it's still a great game, but I do feel like I enjoyed the first two games a bit more. Now, right before playing Hitman 3 here, I did actually end up replaying Hitman's 1 and 2 as well. And now that I have played the entire World of Assassination trilogy relatively recently, I would like to do a mission ranking for every mission in the trilogy, so you can expect a video of that at some point down the road. And that'll really wrap up my thoughts on the Hitman series at that point. But for now, that is the video here. Thank you for watching.